My name is John Joyner, and I was born in Jamestown, North Carolina in the 40s. And I grew up in the segregation era, which is known as Jim Crow. And at the time, we all went to segregated schools, restaurants, whatever. After graduating from high school, William Penn High School, I began to realize what segregation really was. Because now, as I got old, I saw the white, colored water fountains, separate bathrooms, and separate eating areas. And that used to bother me. And I was saying, why? Why do we have to do that? So after graduating from high school, I went to work at Tip Top Bakery out in Jamestown. And I noticed all the colored guys were working the ovens and all the real hard jobs, because the oven was hot. That was hot. And I'm looking at all these things, the white guys had all the good jobs, wrapping machine, driving the bread trucks. And I noticed all of this. So one day, it was like 90 degrees outside, and they had me working on the oven. And I went out in the shipping area to get a drink of water. When I turned the colored fountain on, only a little bit of water came up. I said, that's it. So right beside of the colored fountain was a big stainless steel cooler. And I pushed the button and the water came up. Oh, it was so cold, nice and cold. So a couple of white guys in the shipping area saw me. They said, John, you're not supposed to drink out of that fountain. I didn't say anything to them. I went on back and went to work in the shop. So again, I got thirsty again and went back out there to drink some more water. And the shipping clerk came over and said, John, you're not supposed to drink out of that fountain. I said, and we had a couple of words. And I went back in the shop. And about 5 minutes later, the manager, was his name Hightower, he sent for me to come in his office. So I went in his office, nice, cool, big, cool office. Walked in. He said, sit down, John. So I sat down. He said, Floyd told me you drank out of the white fountain. I said, yes, I did, Mr. Hightower. I said, I'm a biology major at A&T. I said, and I was taught that colored water is contaminated. And I'm giving him the zinger. And so I said, and I drank the white water out of the white fountain. He looked at me. I said, well, let me explain something to you, Mr. Hightower. I said, I work on that oven 500 and 600 degrees. I said, when I go out in the shop to get a drink of water, I said, that color fountain, the water won't even come up out of the spigot. I said, and there's a stainless steel cooler there. I said, I got me a drink of water out of it. And he sat there a couple of minutes and he looked at me. He said, John, he said, anytime you want to drink water, you drink it out of that fountain. I said, thank you, Mr. Hightower. I got up, went back to work. So when I got back in the shop, a lot of my buddies were working, Kenneth Nelson, George Harrison, Raymond Gibson, they were all watching. And they said, what happened? So I said, nothing. I said, drink out of the fountain. He said, we were gonna walk out had they fired you. I said, no. You guys got, you got families and stuff. Don't do that on my behalf. He said, okay. So went on. Then they started the sit-ins up in downtown High Point, Woolworths and things like, started doing the sit-ins.
Mr. Joyner, now, so African Americans were allowed to shop
Oh yeah.
at Woolworths,
Yeah.
but they could not.
You had one
Eat
little
counter?
section at the counter that said colored.
Okay.
You know, you can see
Okay.
about 5 or 6 people.
Okay.
But the white area, you know, it ran the length, just about the length of the, you know, the serving area.
Were there any other differences that you noticed between the white section and the colored section of the Woolworths food service counter?
No, they had, you know, the stools, what separated is they just had a sign that said,
Okay.
you know, to separate colored, then, you know, colored area, which was about 4 or 5 stools
Okay.
that you could sit on. But, you know, a lot of times you'd have 8, 10, 12 people there.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
colored people to be served. And, you know, you had to reach over the people that were sitting on the stool, you know, to get it.
Right.
But, you know, then on the bus, the Jamestown bus, you catch the bus, you know, ride back and forth from High Point to Jamestown.
On the bus, the city bus?
Yeah, city bus. But they had a section, colored section, and they had a white section. So you had to go and sit, you know, past the sign that said colored. So after they passed, what was it, 65? I think it was 64, 65. They passed the law where, you know, they segregated the buses and stuff. So I got on the bus one day, it was me, a white lady, and the bus driver.
Right.
So I got on the bus and I sat in the first seat. So the bus driver looked at me and said, "You got to go to the back." I said, no more.
What year was that?
This was like 65.
65, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I said, no more. 64, 65, somewhere along.
Okay.
I said, no, I'm not moving. And I looked across the aisle. Now, she was sitting like where you're sitting. Like,
Right. Okay.
She opened her pocketbook and told the bus driver she was sitting behind him. She pecked on the thing and he looked back. And she opened the bag and she said, "I got this if you need it." She had a gun.
Whoa!
But, you know, it was almost comical. Because I said, I'm sitting here, and you think I'm gonna let you grab that gun and point at me? You gotta be kidding me. You know, because I wasn't afraid, you know, because I could have grabbed her before she got it out of the bag, you know, so I wasn't.
Were you not afraid of the bus driver possibly calling the police? Because you would not.
Because they'd already passed the law. He just
Okay,
wanted to see if I was going to be crazy enough to go,
to
go in the back. So I said, no, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
So that was the end of that.
That was the end of that situation.
Yeah, that was the end of that situation.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Joyner, for this segment, the first of many to come. And is there anything else you'd like to say before we end this very first segment on African American experiences during the Jim Crow era?
Yeah, I would just like to say that this wasn't about segregation, or integration rather. This was about economics.
Economics, okay.
And we were tricked. Right. Because the beginning of integration, you know, as it went along, everybody was so, I guess, they just wanted to get up to Woolworths and sit in the white area. And they neglected the restaurants down on Washington Street.
Where the black businesses
the black restaurants, you know. And nobody would eat at them, and they were running uptown. And I saw this.
Did you know at that time that would be the beginning of the end, so far as
No, I
African
didn't. Not at the time.
Okay.
Not at the time. But I saw this, and I saw the businesses going down, closing, and only when I left North Carolina and went to New York, and then I started studying and going to different lectures and all. That's when it dawned on me. Okay.
Thank you so much. This has been very educational, and we are definitely going to do this again. Thank you again for participating in this video on the Rollins Reviews Reaction channel.
Thank you.